Wow, what a last over thriller that was. The match between India women and Bangladesh women is now tied, and so is the series. If you are someone who was watching the match, you were privy to some real cricket action. But if you were not watching the match, don't worry, we're here to tell you about it. But what a match it has been. It completely turned around in the 11th hour, and Nahida Akhtar, what incredible bowling she has displayed this in this match, because wow, I mean I'm really speechless at the moment. Sidvi, what do you think about it?
Okay, how could India manage to botch up such a cruising total? These kind of collapses that you see, no, Gargi, you associated with Bangladesh.
Absolutely.
It was there in the emerging Asia Cup. What happened? They were cruising at 94 for 1, lost 9 wickets for 66 runs. Today, how could you lose 6 for 34? And this, the main culprit, if we may have to look at it, there'll be a lot of talk on this one particular individual, and I may say Jemimah Rodriguez. Now remember, what was the major turning point in this chase? So before we come to that turning point, Bangladesh for once batted really, really well. I mean, there was a century made, 107 runs by Farzana.
Yes.
She got the century that was needed, 225 for 4. Smriti Mandhana and Harleen Dale, 59 and 77. But then what happened? 2 run-outs. One of Harleen, the other of Dipti. What happened in both the cases? Who was the non-striker?
Jemimah. Yeah.
Jemimah, at this point in time, what was the need for her to take that single when Meghna Singh had hit the boundary and then took a single on the last ball? You knew that this could happen. 4 were needed of 6 had that single not been taken. Couldn't Jemmy have found the strike a bit better? Imagine, India in this series, in this tour, if you look at it, massive disappointment. They got out of jail in that T20I series because Bangladesh choked in that chase of 96 and they won the third T20I. Here, they were humiliated in the first ODI. Second ODI, India fought back. But how can you explain this epic choke by the Indian women's team? 34 runs, 6 wickets, 7 overs. How?
I mean, it is a very telling sign in itself that India needed about 10 to 15 runs at the very end of the match with about 3 wickets in hand. I think nine runs were left when they had 3 wickets in hand, and they terribly spontaneously lost wickets one after the other on the bowling of Nahida Akhtar. But when we talk about, I think the main culprit here is India's batting lineup, because we've been seeing, incredible crumbling from the batting lineup, even in the T20 series as well. No one was performing, not even the opening pair, not even the international players, the legends that we have right now, the likes of Harmanpreet Kaur, the likes of Jemimah, Smriti Mandhana, who are up there in the ICC rankings but are failing to perform against Bangladesh. Are the conditions to blame? Because we saw that the pitches were incredibly slow and, rank turners almost, and all credits to Bangladesh, by the way, that their bowlers have been performing brilliantly and with a lot of discipline. On the other hand, India, I saw that there was no discipline in the batting lineup. And this is something that surprises me the most, is that Smriti Mandhana. Now we all know that the Indian batting lineup, the Indian lineup has been without a head coach for a long time now, almost a year since Romesh Pawar went out. But Smriti Mandhana came out before the second ODI and said that sometimes it's better when you don't have a head coach. No, it's not. Now we see these are the things where, these are the things that are controlled by a head coach, that are controlled when there is someone sitting above your head, when there is someone holding you accountable,
I mean, Gargi, if you look at it, more than we may say Smriti Mandhana or Harleen Deo, my major concern now, and serious questions will have to be asked about her batting form, Shefali Verma.
Absolutely, yeah.
In this entire tour, and even if you look at it during the World T20 as well as in the Under-19 World Cup, which the Indian women's team won.
In the Emerging Asia Cup as well.
Yeah, Shefali Verma's form has been really bad. So, you saw that Priya Punia came back in the second ODI. But then she was dropped and Shefali came back in. But Shefali has not been able to perform. And Harmanpreet Kaur, after two knocks, that she had two good knocks. But then after that, even her form has been inconsistent.
Yes.
And remember, the captaincy burden, we may all now start to raise that issue. Captaincy burden on Harmanpreet Kaur is taking a toll on her batting. There was a brief glimpse of her coming back to form in the World T20. You saw those knocks against Australia, how she was really batting well, but one major misjudgment. I think now, if you have to appoint the new head coach now, which most likely it will be Amol Muzumdar, if you look at it, I think the next one, I think we may have to see a change in guard when it comes to the Indian captaincy. I think we might have to see the start of the Smriti Mandana era now, because I think Harmanpreet's batting lineup is not supporting. Whatever we may say, she may be leading from the front. India may have won the T20I series, they may have drawn the ODI series. But at this point, and I'll again say, a senior statesman, you may count Jemima Rodriguez as a senior statesman in the Indian women's team. If she is, her judgments today really led the team. Two major runouts, and remember, this Bangladesh team were fielding much sharper. Look at the runout that they impacted, the direct hit. Look at the catch that Naida
yes, especially the catches.
The catching. And this is very unlike Bangladesh, remember. They used to drop catches in the T20Is, but here they have really made it up. Now there was confusion regarding why there cannot be a super over. Okay. Remember, this series is part of the ICC ODI Championships, which will culminate in 2025. Okay. This is part of that series. But remember, this is a bilateral arrangement. Final match of a series, if you look at the normal playing conditions, no super over, because it's a bilateral series. But remember, why there was no super over today? Scheduled time, we had gone way past that. So no more play possible. That is the official statement that has come. Because you have overshot, I think there was a rain delay also in between the 20 to 25 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So that rain delay and plus we have overshot time means there cannot be a super. And basically in a bilateral series, I think you don't see a super over. It is there only for multi-nation, Asia Cup, Under 19, World T20. Only in the knockout stages and in the league stages, you will see the super over in that sense. But I mean, this is very disappointing. Now, forget about the fact that, this is the Indian women's team. We are not living in 2010, 2005 where they're putting up a fight. This is a side that regularly makes ICC knockout events and wins them.
Exactly.
But questions will have to be asked, and I think today all the focus will be on Jemima Rodriguez, because I'm sorry, the judgment that she showed during the final overs, not up to the mark at all. And I think India, okay, they luckily tied the game. What if Meghna Singh would have fallen?
Yeah.
1 run to go. They would have lost the series. And remember, first ODI, Bangladesh had achieved an ODI win against India for the very first time. They were on the cusp of winning a series for the very first time.
Yes.
India have gotten out of jail, but serious questions have to be asked from this team. Whether they are up for the challenge.
I mean, yes, when you look at it, even the T20 series is, the fact that India has won the T20 series is a big masquerade, is a big mask, because in reality, if you're someone who's seen the matches, who has been following this series, you'll know very well that these matches have been very competitive. And not only that, it has also been India who's looking almost like a weaker side in this with this opposition, when in fact India is the strongest team in the continent. And we used to be, I mean, I don't want this to be a negative connotation, but then again, this doesn't look like the Indian squad that used to be up against Australia and England in semi-finals and finals of ICC tournaments.
There is a reason. There is a reason why you lose to Australia on a regular basis. Because you have to understand one major thing. They know how to handle pressure. India, unfortunately, tend to crumble under pressure. It's happened in the Commonwealth Games. It's happened in all the other things as well. So, this is a continuation of that crumbling.
Yes, I mean, for sure. But let's talk about Bangladesh as well, because they've been incredible throughout this series, in the T20 series as well. But today, especially the way that their bowlers have been bowling, with the kind of discipline that they're coming in from. And especially, I would like to talk about the pick of the bowlers, the team that the management has selected, because look at it, you've got a left arm unorthodox bowler in there, you've got Nahida Akhtar, you've got Rabea Khatun, who's a right arm orthodox off-break bowler. But they have been bowling brilliantly and taking full advantage of the conditions. Is it something that we've seen or we've been missing from the Indian contingency?
I mean, see, the bowling has been okay. It's been for the conditions, they have been much, much better. There have been people who have stepped up in these kind of situations. Deepti Sharma stepped up on a couple of occasions. But again, without any explanation, you have dropped some key players. Renuka Singh, for example, not picked. But without any explanation. Radha Yadav not picked. Remember, left armers, Bangladesh. Couldn't Radha Yadav had been a big factor in this series.
Absolutely.
But you have not picked her without any explanation. So, serious questions will have to be asked. I mean, this we may say, oh, but they won the T20I series 2-1. The ODI series is drawn 1-1. I am sorry. You're missing the entire picture. Then if you want the betterment of women's cricket, this isn't an ideal build-up. You are coming after 4 months. The last contest that these girls played was in the WPL. After that, they have not had any kind of international exposure for 3 to 4 months. Suddenly, you're thrown into challenging, slow, low, turgid conditions in Bangladesh. And see what's happened. You barely gotten out of jail in the T20Is, but here, 1-1. I think you cannot be too happy about it. But again, it can be said, okay, we can be too negative about it. But again, what has been the common thing for India's heartbreaks when it comes to India women's cricket? Pressure. Your prime example was 2017 World Cup final. You crumbled under pressure.
Yes.
2020 was one-sided. Look at 2023. The T20 World Cup, you needed 41 of 34 balls. Yet you lost by 4 runs. Same here. You tied the game when you had no business losing it. 6 for 34. Jemima Rodriguez, I'm very sorry. I mean, as a senior batter in that team, one of the core members, if you want Mandana, Harmanpreet, Jemmy, I'm sorry. She may have played a wonderful second ODI in which she scored an 80 and she took 4 wickets for 3 runs. But here, the wheel is it comes a full circle, unfortunately, for us. So, pretty disappointed. I will say this equates a loss for India. I will not say it's a tied series or anything because Bangladesh will be sharing the trophy with you for the very first time. And even in 2018, they had won the Asia Cup, remember, while beating India in the T20 format with Malaysia. So, big questions for India women's cricket, and I fear for them because they have got tougher series coming up later in the year as well.
That's true, and I think at this point, a lot of questions should be asked to the management as well as to how, what priority is being given to women's cricket at this moment, because we've been looking at the fixtures, and as you said, the Indian women's team is returning back to cricket action after 4 months. Imagine that happening with the men's team. Why is the team without a head coach for over a year now? I mean, when you look at it, when you compare the two, I know it shouldn't be compared, but what if the same thing was happening in men's cricket? By now, there would be a storm over the Indian management's head. But that's not what's happening. They've been fine. They've been putting one interim coach in after the other. You've got to think about what impact that has on an international team, because you at this point you have too many talking heads in the dressing room, and you don't know what information to kind of gather and what to let go, because there's just been so many people around in the dressing room.
I mean, my first reaction was, oh God, how could this have even happened?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if people may think that, oh, you're sounding way too negative and all. I'm sorry. I expect a lot more from the India women's cricket team, because for 6 years they have been living up to the hype, reaching finals, beating Australia, beating England. So it is my right to expect a lot from the India women's cricket team. And remember, it's not 2000 or 1990 when I said, oh, you fought well, you won our hearts. I'm sorry, that era has passed. If you want equality, you have to expect them as the men's team are. Men's team win consistently, the women's team are expected to do that with the resources that's available. I am very sorry about that. And this is Bangladesh. I can understand it was Australia. Okay, Australia too good under pressure. Agreed. But this is Bangladesh. India are the numero uno in Asia, as you said. Better than Sri Lanka. Sometimes Pakistan can step up. Bangladesh are 4th in that list. So I am just pretty disappointed. And the super over, well, the time was overshot. What to do? And there was no guarantee if India would have won that super over also if it was bowled, because Bangladesh were in that zone.
Yeah, and let's talk about Fargana Hoke a little bit before we wind up, because she's become the first Bangladeshi women's cricketer to score a century in ODIs. What a feat that is. I mean, she will go down in the history books now with the way that she batted today.
I mean, Farzana, she looked the most solid and assured of the
Yes.
lot. And remember, whatever Bangladesh have done, it's a first in a lot of ways. I mean, first ODI win, first centurion from Bangladesh, women's batter Farzana. Remember that name now. That'll be a trivia question for years to come. And drawing an ODI series against, if I may add, if you may agree with on this, a full strength Indian team.
Absolutely.
Can you call this a full strength Indian team, Gargi?
I mean, I believe it is 85% Indian strength team, because you've sat out most of the important players. Renuka Singh, one of your best performers in the WPL as well as in international games. You omitted Radha Yadav, you omitted Shikha Pandey, who's been incredible since her comeback in the World Cup, and then the WPL. You omitted Richa Ghosh. I mean, where are your best players? Why are they sitting out?
The saddest part in this, no explanation.
Yeah.
No concrete explanation, just one statement. Renuka Singh, Radha Yadav, Richa Ghosh are all resting. But no explanation. The BCCI are totally tight-lipped about this. That adds to the frustration even more.
Yeah. So I think this is goodbye for us. That concludes our discussion. If you like the video, don't forget to share it with your friends. Like, share and subscribe to Sports Today. Tap the bell icon and don't forget to download the SportsTak app. From me and Siddharth, it's goodbye.
Bye-bye.